Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a deleted user in the AITA subreddit. The post is titled, "I'm mad at my husband after he let our daughter shave her head. We have a certain tradition in my family. During the summer, all children who are 10 years old have their hair dyed, currently with a special dye that wears off after a few days. We dress in colorful clothes, decorate my grandparents' house, and celebrate for 3 days and 3 nights. There is cake, presents, various contests, and so on. It is a family tradition, not a matter of culture or country, and it comes from the time when one of my great-great-grandmothers lost many children before they turned 10. Well, my daughter turns 10 this year. She is one of 3 children at this age. The celebration was scheduled for August 1st. Everything was going well, she was very happy. Then I went on a business trip. When I came back, my daughter had a shaved head. Honestly, I was shocked because during this time, I did not receive any information or even a photo. I asked my husband what happened. He said that he and our daughter were watching a cartoon together and one of the characters had shaved her hair, so our daughter decided she wanted to shave hers too. He agreed. That caused a lot of drama. We had a bit of an argument, and honestly, at the time, I was more concerned that he had allowed her to shave her head on such a small impulse. But the next day, my mother came in and a conversation about the tradition began. You know, how to dye hair that does not exist. My mother suggested a wig or just painting my daughter's head, but my daughter burst into tears because she realized that she would be the only 10-year-old whose hair would not be dyed. She also refuses to go to the celebration now because it won't be the same. She is mad and my husband is furious with me, thinking the whole tradition is stupid and that it is the tradition's fault that our daughter is upset. I, on the other hand, think he was irresponsible and that he should have thought about what he was doing before he started shaving her head. Yes, my husband knows about the tradition. He has been there twice. By the way, my daughter is completely bald now. As for the question of what if one of the children does not want to dye their hair, the answer is that my brother was that child. So on the day of the celebration, he wore a rainbow wig and no one had a problem with it. The thing is, as I have already pointed out, my daughter does not want wigs or head paint. She wants dyed hair. I have noticed that many people in the comments have a strange view of this tradition, so I want to clarify something. No, we are not talking about dead children, nor is there a cemetery-like atmosphere. Although it began with many deaths, it is a celebration of life and joy. It is something like a huge birthday. That is why everyone dresses colorfully, that is why we paint ourselves and decorate our houses, and that is why children get presents. Update. So a few things have happened since yesterday, and taking advantage of the fact that it is currently 11 a.m. in my country and I am home alone, I would like to share this with you. I guess I will start by saying that many of you were right, even if you were wrong about the reasons. 3 hours after I published my first post, my husband's sister came over to pick up my daughter. I decided to take the opportunity and ask her for help, figuring she was the perfect neutral person. My husband was not happy and strongly opposed it, thinking it was unnecessary to drag this out further, but I asked his sister to talk to my daughter about what had happened anyway. She, my husband's sister, currently has a mohawk, so I asked her to simply start with hairstyles and then get to how it all started. She agreed. They returned around 11 p.m. We waited until our daughter had gone to bed, then we sat down in the kitchen and started talking. Well, my husband tried to end the conversation many times, but I finally learned this. The fact is that he and our daughter watched a cartoon where a character shaves her hair. The fact is that my daughter found it interesting, but that is where the daddy started encouraging us to do it and saying it would be great part comes in. My daughter told his sister how he convinced her that it would be more fun this way, and that this way she would be able to better play the character in their game. When my husband's sister left, we started arguing. I do not know if it is still obvious, but even as I write this, I am still upset. At first, my husband defended himself, trying to say that his sister was biased and that it was all lies and that the idea was completely our daughter's. But in the end, he told the truth. Yes, he convinced her to cut her hair. No, it was not just about a stupid tradition. It is worse. You see, before the date of the celebration was set this year, which is August 1st, my husband wanted to go on a week-long vacation to Greece. They were supposed to start on August 1st. So yes, my brilliant husband shaved our daughter's head to get back at me for taking away his vacation. He thought that this way we would avoid reuniting with my family, or at least I would feel what he felt. Yes, I also do not know whether to laugh or cry. It ended with me sleeping on the couch, him taking the bedroom, and going to work in the morning. Now our daughter is currently with my parents while I consider my next move. I do not want to argue again, but I am certainly not going to leave it like that. Edit. I appreciate all the comments, and as I wrote, our daughter is currently staying with my parents. That said, when I took her to them, we talked. The good news is that we joked a bit about the fact that at least now we do not have to comb her hair. The atmosphere was better than in recent days. Together, we found some positives in this whole situation, and using your advice, I also decided to assure her that she still looks wonderful, and that nothing that happened was her fault, and that I am not mad at her. Unfortunately, the bad news is that she is still sad. She said she still wants to have her hair dyed and that she is already starting to miss plaits. Lede Agatha Malawan said, "That is seriously messed up. The way he manipulated his daughter and then lied about it, and how shaving a woman's head is often associated with humiliation. This man has some dark places in his psyche." To this comment, User Mirror Objective said, wondering if the man had a mental breakdown or if he was just that good at masking. His sister seems normal. OP says that until now she would have called him a good husband and a good father. Their arguments seem to have been resolved in a mature manner. I guess we will never know. Alarming Instance said, "Holy fuckballs, that husband is unhinged." This next story was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "I just found out that the man I'm seeing might have herpes." For some context, I got out of a 5-year abusive relationship last year. A few months ago, I decided to put myself out there again. I have not been looking for anything serious or special, just testing the waters and having fun. I also do not fall for people or get attached easily, which has not bothered me in the past. Completely out of the blue, I met Jim, and to say we clicked right away is an understatement. I have never felt better about myself or more connected to another person romantically. It has been wonderfully surreal. It is clear we have a future, and even though I am taking it day by day, I am letting myself actually enjoy this and be excited. Last night we were taking a walk and I could tell something was gnawing at him. He ended up bringing up that a woman he was seeing right before we met had contacted him a few days ago and told him that she had contracted herpes. He mentioned that he wore a condom every time they had sex and that he got tested, but that he would not get the results until later this week. I just told him that whatever the results, we would figure it out together. We have not slept together yet. Both of us want to take it slow because this means something, but now I do not know what to think. I really want to continue this, but I do not want to potentially expose myself to herpes. I really do not. Obviously, I have my hands tied until the results come in, but I was hoping that you might have some advice moving forward, particularly people who either live with a sexually transmitted disease or are partnered with someone who does. Only share if you feel comfortable. 4 years later, OP gave us an update. I posted this about 4 years ago, and though not many people saw it, I thought I would provide an update. A few days after that date, Jim called me and told me that he had received his test results back and that they were negative. I was incredibly relieved, and he said that he really appreciated my reaction when he told me. I told him how much I appreciated his transparency. It hit home, especially after my previous relationship, which was filled with lies and made me question my own sanity when I was clear about the timeline of events. A case of legitimate gaslighting. I felt like Jim's character lined up with the person I had been talking to. We met on a dating app and talked for a couple of weeks before our first date. Fast forward to the present day, and we have been happily together for about 4 years and living together for 3.5 years with my dogs. We are getting married in a few months. This has been the easiest, calmest, and most loving relationship I have ever been in, and we both make each other better every day. I never thought I would say this given my past, but if something feels right, I encourage you to give it a shot. Edit, everyone, please read the post. He did not have herpes, I do not have herpes, and this was years ago. Darcinia said, I love seeing someone have the courage to ask early on whether the circumstances they are faced with are something they are willing to go through. I doubly love seeing that honesty from OP's partner. We need to see this more often, both the taking time to question things and the fact that questioning things is not a betrayal. Honesty and communication are really the way to go, and if you cannot be vulnerable around the person who is supposed to be your safe space, that is the main reason to question things. If you get into the habit of checking in with yourself about how you feel in a relationship, it really ends up strengthening the relationships that are meant to last. Overall Search said, I have oral herpes and the only symptom that bothers me is having to keep it hidden from people. A cold sore on my mouth is a minor inconvenience and I have not even come close to transmitting it to anyone, not even my wife. However, about half the people who find out I get cold sores become insanely weird about it. I will literally rush to drugstores to get my medication within hours of developing symptoms in order to make it disappear as fast as possible just to avoid questions. This final post was made in the AIO subreddit by a user named Emily Mili. The post is titled, I insist that my friend board her dog. I agreed to take care of my coworker and friend's older dog, who is 10 years old, while she was on vacation for the week. I originally thought I would be checking up on her before and after work, walking her, feeding her, and handling the typical dog watching duties. She paid me $200 for the whole week, which is about $28 per day. I charge about $26 for a 20-minute drop-in cat sitting visit through Meowtel, so I thought it was fair initially. She left me 8 pages, front and back, of instructions for her dog, wants me to stay overnight with her, and asked me to pick her up to put her in the bed with me. She also freaked out when I told her I had plans for my day off and would be leaving her dog for a few hours. While I was at work yesterday, the dog pulled the trim off the door, chewed some of the paint from around the handles, and started to chew on the drywall. Today, when I got back from work, she had started to eat and rip out insulation, chewed up and ripped out even more drywall, and started to chew through an electrical wire. She is in another country that is 8 hours ahead, but would I be overreacting if I insisted she board her dog for the remainder of her trip? I cannot put my life on hold to supervise her dog all day and night. Above that, I cannot stand the thought of her dog getting seriously injured or causing any more property damage. What should I say? How should I proceed? I do not have the paid time off to call off work, and I am certainly not getting paid fairly for the extent of this dog sitting situation. Update. I finally got in contact with the dog's owner after 4 to 5 hours of no response. Her initial reaction was to tell me to put a cone on her dog while I was at work and not to leave her unsupervised unless I was working. I let her know that that would not be happening. Her dog was extremely stressed, and if she was left unattended, she could consume hazardous materials and possibly die. I told her I could not watch the dog 24/7 until she returned, and that either family or the vet needed to take her in until the trip was over and the wall could be repaired. She showed the photos I sent to her mom and sister, who were there in the hotel room with her. They all chimed in agreement with me. That was a serious hazard, the dog could die, and it was a wonder she did not burn the place down. Her mom said she knew an electrician, and her sister said that her husband would not touch it with a 10-foot pole. I told her I had to look through the cabinets to find her vet's information, called them, and then called their emergency vet partner to get some sort of guidance from a professional. She had me put her dog on camera for 10 minutes so she could talk to her. The dog was not amused, and I was so tired of the baby talk. She kept calling her a brave little girl for mommy, and I was so over it. She thanked me many times for going above and beyond for her precious baby pup cup and told me to keep the $200. I will have to drop the dog off at the owner's uncle's house tomorrow at 11 a.m., but he will keep her until the vacation is over. She sent me a list of things she needs me to take with her, but at least I will not have to worry about the dog anymore. Thank you for all the support. This has genuinely been the worst pet sitting experience I have ever had, and I will not be doing it for anyone ever again. Drunk Vault Boy said, I saw the first post. That damage is absolutely insane, and it feels like the owner is not taking it seriously enough. God damn, Honey Bear said, that dog is actively suffering from high anxiety and stress. The fear hormones flooding its brain make it physically stressed on a biological level, probably causing concurrent gastrointestinal distress, heart distress, physical damage to teeth, nails, and paws, as well as damage from ingesting things like wood, drywall, and fiberglass insulation. Unfortunately, if this dog is still at this level of separation anxiety and panic at 10 years old, there is unlikely to be any level of behavioral modification that would make a major or lasting difference. If the dog is that destructive, unless the owner has invested in a very expensive tank-like kennel, the kind usually used for professional working dogs in military settings, kennel training or expecting the dog to be left confined would be a disaster. The dog would no doubt destroy the kennel or severely injure itself in its escape attempts. This owner needs to be upfront with anyone who watches the dog and make sure they understand that this dog cannot be left alone. I am honestly surprised this dog makes it through the workday without destruction or self-injuring behaviors. Does the owner have a roommate or something? Drugs can be helpful and effective for canine anxiety, but without changes to environment and routine, they will not be as effective. For low-level anxiety, a daily regimen of fluoxetine is helpful. My own dog is on this for anxiety management, and it has helped immensely along with behavioral modification and environmental changes. For high-stress events that one can predict or prepare for, something like trazodone can be utilized effectively, but trazodone and similar medications are not magic bullets. If the dog is too excited or becomes triggered, they can panic through the medical sedation and be worse off, as their logic and responses are diminished by the sedatives even if their reactions and panic are not. I know this is lengthy, but I also know a lot of people gain knowledge from reading Reddit comments associated with OPs. So when I respond to posts with knowledge-based answers, I tend to over-explain for the benefit of others who may read and be dealing with similar issues. I cannot help it, it is the autism teacher curse. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.